Hello, 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 everyone. How are you? Hope you're having an incredible, incredible day, and may peace be upon you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. It Takes Courage with me, your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil. And today is a special day because today is the launch of the book Brave and Brilliant. And we're going to be sharing some tips. The authors are here today. A few of the authors are here today. And we are going to be sharing some tips on bravery, courage, brilliance, and share with you how you can make an impact. The book is also available on Amazon today. So if you haven't got a copy, make sure you grab a copy now. So let's say hello to the authors now and bring them up here to the stage. So here we have Laura, we have Jeremy, and we also have Ruben. So welcome, 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 everybody, and congratulations on the launch of Brave and Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They're a little bit shy today, but that's okay because it's a lot to take in, especially for Ruben and Jeremy, who are first-time authors, right? You guys are
That's
first-time
right.
authors.
That's correct. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. And Laura and I, we've been together in this right before last year on the book Possibility. So every time a book launches, like it's always a lot of feelings. And I've done this since 2018, 2019. It's always very special and scary, but it's also great to be able to connect with incredible people. So let's go straight to the point, and we're gonna bring up Laura first. So Jeremy and Ruben, we're gonna put you on the backstage for a moment, okay? We will be back, and don't go anywhere. Okay, Laura. Okay, Laura, what's your role here? So let us know what is your role in the curation of TEDx Huntington Beach, as this is a spin-off of TEDx Huntington Beach, and also what's your biggest tip to bravery and brilliance?
Yes. You mean my role, like how I see? Yes. Okay. So last year we had 12 speakers and this year we had 10. And I wanted to make sure that we wanted to make sure as a team, and I wanted to make sure as a mindset strategist that the speakers didn't spin out. It is a long time between getting your yes, you've made it to the main stage by the time, to the time they actually get on the stage. And it's a lot of energy management. It's a lot of fear. It's a lot of excitement. It's a lot of channeling all of those feelings that the speakers have. And you always promise it's going to be a rough road, a tough road. And we told the speakers it would be a bullet train to the destination. And a lot of the speakers said to me this year, I can't believe it. I didn't believe you. And I thought that's exactly how I felt when Iz told me that in 2023. So my role was just to get them from point A, being accepted, to point B, getting on the big red dot and sharing their big idea. And one of the tips that I had for them, I met with them 3 times, and then whenever they needed, if they felt they needed it. But over the course of the 7 months, something like that, 8 months we were together, I met with them every other month, and I take them through different exercises. But I always like to start with the end in mind. And I wanted them, even though they didn't know what they were doing at the beginning, they didn't know what their speech was, I wanted them to go to the last day, the day of the event, and had them visualize themselves walking off the stage to a standing ovation and really feel it and feel what that would feel like so that they could start with the end in mind and the rest would fill itself in with their diligent work.
Wonderful. And it is kind of like an odd thing, Laura, right? Because you're promising them it's going to be hard work. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a fast train, it's a pressure cooker. A lot of things are going to happen. So, it's like a lot of people going to be like, oh, it's going to be easy. You're going to have fun. We do have a lot of fun, but there's also blood, sweat, and tears behind there. And talk about this idea of them standing on the stage on the red dot way like 6 7 months before they step on that stage, because you told them right from the beginning, hey, this is what's going to happen and what is it like. Because for those of you who do not know, Laura was our speaker last year at TEDx Huntington Beach. So why is that important to step on the red dot right from the beginning, like 7 6 7 months before it happens?
I think because when you are applying for a TEDx, you're super excited to share your idea and you have this probably belief what you think you're going to write about, but you really don't. It hasn't been fleshed out. Even if you've written it, it's probably going to change based on the dynamic. It's a micro and a macro world, right? Like the micro world is you writing this idea about something bigger than you or some conclusion you've come to. But the macro cycle is the 7 months in between, the changes, the hearing the other speaker, seeing how it fits in the big picture and the audience that you're talking to that day. And then individually, the filmed piece that will go on stage. So I wanted them to see the bigger picture of what it would feel like, because once you start to get those feelings inside your cells, you can move into it. You can set the intention, know what that's going to feel like, and everything will fill in the gap as you do the work. And it's a reminder of how you want to feel, that you've really left a legacy, something bigger than you, bigger than your idea, a legacy.
Beautiful. So, bravery is when you think of something and being something that is bigger than you, leaving a legacy and stepping into that red dot or whichever dot that you want to step on way before it happens. Thank you so much for that, Laura.
Yeah, and can I just
Yeah,
add one more thing? Bravery
yeah.
and courage, even if you're scared, when you do it anyway, that is bravery and that is bringing out your inner courage. So, absolutely, you're right about that, is.
Beautiful. And also because we have a team, right? A really supportive team and a group of speakers who are in alignment with each other and also in alignment with the vision. Because the last thing you want to do is create friction with each other and also between us outside. So that's a really, really special thing. And speaking of a team, Laura, Erin, who's one of our team members, who's the event and speaker director, isn't here today, but she left us a message. So here we go.
Hi everyone, I'm super excited for the book launch. Sorry I can't be there in person, but I wanted to share a quick tip from my section of the book, and that is when you're doing your TEDx interview, make sure that you don't roll out of bed and you treat this just like a job interview, and you'll do great. Have a great day. Bye.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip, right, Laura? Don't roll out of bed when you're having the interview. Treat it as something just like a job interview and be prepared for it. If you haven't already got a copy of the book, you can scan the QR code of Brave and Brilliant. It's available on Amazon. The Kindle version is out for 99 cents only, and launch proceeds is going to be donated to Global Girls Glow, which is a nonprofit organization that mentors young women and girls to be brave leaders. So it's a two-in-one kind of thing. You get a book, but you also get to help young girls. Okay, Laura. So what we're going to do, we're going to say thank you for now, and we'll bring you back in a moment. Okay. All right. Okay, let's bring up. Okay, Ruben is not showing on camera. Oh, there he is. Okay, let me bring him up on camera very quickly. Are you on show on stream? Okay, here we are. Ruben, first of all, congratulations on your first published book.
Thank you very much. Thank you
You're
very much.
welcome. So let's talk about you now just having gone stepping into the red dot. So
Yes.
give people a tip of bravery, like something they can hold on into, because it wasn't like, we've gone through so many journeys and moments together to get to that point. So share your bravery or brilliance tip with other people.
So my talk was specifically about using technology bravely, and more specifically AI. But I think that my journey started at just the beginning of even applying uh, to share an idea and to step into the opportunity to give a talk. There's at least this is the case for me, probably as for some people as well, is that there's a self-doubt that what you have to share, um, like it's just not going to make that much of an impact. Like, well, yeah, yes, it's true that I've been 30 years in intensely in tech startups and developing new ideas and creating things, but maybe people don't want to hear about that, or what I have learned over that experience. And it, so that was the first step for me, really kind of boldly or courageously stepping into just a knowing, or just letting that doubt go and stepping into the actually, sharing and actually putting together an idea and getting it out in the world. I think that was the first step.
Yeah, actually, Ruben, you were part of the TEDx Huntington Beach team last year. And what people don't know, if I may share, is that you actually applied to speak on the TEDx stage last year, but you did not go through. And then, you were invited to be part of the team because you have a techie skill set that was needed to help with the vision, and then coming back again this year and applying for it. So quite a few people, once it was a no for them, they kind of get dejected and deflated and not even bother to try again. So let's talk about making that leap. Of you taking the leap, oh, it was a no, maybe I don't have to, maybe it's not meant for me. But what made you take the leap from a no to doing it again, applying again this year, not knowing what the answer is going to be, but still moving forward with it?
Yeah, let me say it this way. It's really easy to go to the space of like I'm a victim of the world out there. They don't get me. They don't appreciate it, or whatever your version of that may be. Um, but what a realization that came to me. It's not that. Um, it's just the opportunity to be responsible for that. Or why was that? And if, when I am just honest about specifically that experience of applying to be a speaker, it was kind of I had this calling to do that, and I kind of half did it. Like I didn't put my soul into it, my heart, my intelligence, all of that together. Did not have the intention to actually do it. I almost did it in a way where for sure, no, they're not going to accept my talk, as a way to, I don't know, to hide, if that makes sense. And this year, I just stepped into, I just had the full intention and the commitment to really go forward with it. That's the distinction for me.
Yeah, that's a really great distinction of taking the leap of like you last year half cooking things versus you this year putting everything that you've got and being really intentional with the application, with the idea and everything. So I think that makes a difference, because as it comes across on the other side, when the team is reviewing it, we can see, or kind of like people, there are a few people that stood out. And the people that stood out energetically, they're different in the sense that what they put into the application, which, our application is really intentional and intensive and demanding. So, like Jeremy would say, I had to scroll and scroll and scroll. Like we're going to have Jeremy in a moment. So, it's not for the faint hearted. So, Ruben, great job on that tip of, rather than half doing it, going all out and then also kind of like taking that leap of faith, leap of courage and bravery. So Ruben, we'll touch base with you in a moment. So we're gonna take care of you on the backstage. So stay tuned, okay? And we're gonna bring Jeremy, who has been scrolling the application and scrolling the application. So Jeremy, okay, what's your biggest tip after the scrolling and after the multiple process that you got to stand on the TEDx stage? So what is your tip or your lesson in bravery, courage, and brilliance?
It's funny. There's in the book I write about an emergency I had while I was flying, and it was a brave moment. It kind of felt, when looking back, felt like a brilliant moment. But in the moment while I was doing it, it didn't feel like that big of a deal. I was just doing my training. I was prepared for it. That's what I do. And TEDx, man, you put me through my paces. You and the team, you guys trained me. You guys got me prepared. So when I got up there, I'm like, let's do this. I mean, I was the first one on stage, and that's how I wanted it to be. I was like, let's just do this. I wasn't nervous. I was just ready to go because I was prepared. I had trained for this. And what looks like a big moment of bravery is just really a moment of stepping into who you are ready to be next.
Okay, that is like so cool. Like you just in the book you shared, you're just doing your training and you didn't think, isn't that it's oh my God, like because you saved a plane, right? I mean, you're a pilot. In case people don't know, you're a pilot. And there was a moment, talk us through about that moment because of your action and the training that you received. You saved the souls on board, you and Mark, your co-pilot. So talk about that, a bit of that storyline and also the things that you learned from that act of, in your reflection.
Well, really quick, the story. I'm flying across the Rocky Mountains. It's dark. It's middle of the night, and there's a bunch of thunderstorms. And we're using the weather radar. Oftentimes, storms aren't as defined as you think they are. You look up in the sky from the ground, you're like, oh, there's a storm. Well, in the sky, you're flying through clouds, so you can't see the other storms. So we have a weather radar that sees through the clouds that sees the storms for you, and it's depicted on your screen as a red blob of like, don't go there. There's bad stuff there, hail and lightning. And I'm looking down at my screen and there's like all these red blobs everywhere. I'm like, we're weaving between them. And then my co-pilot, Mark, his screen goes out. He doesn't have his weather radar anymore. Not a big deal. You just flip a switch and then his other working screen now has that weather radar. Well, a few minutes later, that screen goes out and we're like, we're down to just mine now. This is getting bad. And so we're starting to come up with some contingencies. We're starting to figure out what do we need to do next. And the first thing we do in that situation is aviate. And that means I'm the pilot on that particular flight. I was the one flying the plane. We take turns flying, but that particular flight I was flying, I said, my aircraft, which means I'm going to control the airplane and I'm not going to get distracted with trying to fix all these other issues. Because if we're both fixing a problem, who's watching the plane? And the plane can do something like that if no one's watching it. So the big takeaway is, that's my training. Is the first thing I do is be a pilot. I fly that plane, and then we go through some other scenarios I write about in the book. The not scenarios, but those steps of how we handle that situation. Because a third screen went out, I'm going to lose my screen next. We got to get this plane on the ground immediately. We're not flying to New York anymore. We need to land someplace here in Colorado right now, and that's an expedited thing. With storms, and we got to coordinate with air traffic control. I got to coordinate with my passenger, and I got a flight attendant. I'm a big important CEO who thinks he has a big important meeting. And guess what, CEO? Your meeting's not that important anymore. We got to get this plane on the ground, and that's what we did.
Yeah, and that's what you did, right? Kind of like navigating, not even navigating, flying the plane. That's the most important thing in that part, because otherwise the plane would go, going down and potentially crash. So that's a really great tip on that. When you have tough situation, a lot of people tend to check in with other people first, because that isn't usually the best thing to do, but rather kind of like bring the focus back to you and kind of like look at your direction and figure out if the safest way for you to move in that direction, then reflect on your other priorities. So that's a great thing. And you also mentioned that the process of writing the book, the process of becoming a TEDx speaker tested your patience. And Jeremy is the epitome of
Yes,
cool,
it did.
calm, and collective. I'm like, what do you mean we tested your patience? He feels like unshakable, like you couldn't even shake him. What was that like?
Um, it was stressful, and you know, a big, it went cool, but inside it's like things are spinning, and but you know, I got to be the guy that I say I am, the guy I'm writing about. I got to be the calm, cool guy that, okay, we're taking this one step at a time. We talk to people, we get great training. I stay focused on myself first and foremost. You know, as I say in the book, you can't command anything else until you decide to command yourself. If I'm in a panic, if I'm stressing out, nothing's going to get done, or whatever's get done is not going to be done at a very high level. So no matter how stressful that, no matter whatever pressure is put on with the book or the TEDx, it's like, okay, I can do one thing right now. And that's what I'm going to focus on. And once that's in control, then the next priorities start to lay themselves out.
Brilliant.
And a big part of that is I don't fly a plane by myself.
Mhm.
I got a co-pilot because it does get overwhelming. So I lean on other people that are experts in their field. You know, when writing a book, I'm leaning on you, and I'm leaning on your editor. In TEDx, I'm leaning on Laura to help keep that calmness in me, and I'm leaning on the other teammates and the other test speakers. You know, we're sharing and we're editing, rehearsing together to make sure that this is all going right. That, you know, you don't want to do any of this stuff by yourself.
Awesome. Yeah. And you don't want to do it all by yourself because it's a lot of work. I'm pretty sure you can handle it by yourself. But, you know, sometimes it's great for when you lean in and you get other people to co-create and contribute to you. So that's a really great point, Jeremy. So Jeremy, let's kind of show everyone a quick highlight about the book journey that we have. Wonderful. Okay, that's kind of like a highlight synopsis, and where all of us are probably signing, I don't know how many books, and our hands just about to fall off by signing the Brave and Brilliant
My
book.
wrist still.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a huge training. All right, Jamie, we'll say goodbye for you in a moment, and we'll bring you up in a moment, okay? Because I want to bring up Carol, who just joined in.
Hey,
Hello.
how are
So
you?
good to see you. Oh my God, you've been in, out, everywhere, different parts of the world. So, welcome, Carol. And let's go straight to the point and tell people a tip or a reflection that you have on courage, bravery, brilliance as you know, make that leap of faith.
You know, I oftentimes think about that topic, and I was just talking about it to a group of young entrepreneurs yesterday. And I think the biggest thing is that you may have heard it before, but it's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And as we all scale and grow, even if it's the first time, even if it's the 100th time, it's always uncomfortable. It's always pushes us a little bit more, and still do it anyway, because it is so amazing as you get through it and you realize the impact that you have just gets better and better.
Beautiful. And it's that rippling impact, right, Carol? Like you don't see it in the moment or in your journey, like in the moment you don't see it. But then maybe a few days, in a few weeks, a few months, or a few years, you start to see how it touches people's hearts, how it inspires other people. But I wanted to kind of like share as a tip because fear can often stop us, or more than anything, it's too big that we kind of like, oh, I'm too busy for this, I don't have time for this, or maybe this is not oh, God is showing me a message, this is not a thing for me to do. So talk us through into like the act of bravery, and especially with you dealing with conflict. Often we have a lot of conflict and negotiation with ourselves. How do we kind of like resolute that part of us and then take a step forward?
Sure. Oh gosh, there's a lot to unpack there. Is no pressure.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So I would say that a lot of times when we're talking about fear, it's about the unknown. It's because we don't have all the dots connected. It's the what ifs that are haunting us. And for me, it's oftentimes really unpacking all of those what ifs. So if I do XYZ, this could happen. That's great. That's fantastic. This could happen. That's iffy. This could happen. That's bad. So let's take the bad thing because that's usually the scariest ones for our brains. And then you go, okay, so let's say that went horribly wrong. How bad could that bad thing be, and how can I shore it up? And maybe when we actually like look it in the face and dissect what it is we're afraid of, we find out that it's not really as big or as powerful as our brain is maybe giving it credit. So when we're looking at it from a neuroscience perspective, that's always my preference, is our brains respond to fear threats, things that it can't predict, always the same way. It is the same as whether we think it's a saber-toothed tiger or a warring tribe, or just maybe that we had public, rejection. And those are not all equal, but our brain just treats it all the same. So sometimes just looking at it and going, really, what is the worst that could happen? I can handle that is enough.
Brilliant. And what's the worst can happen? And I can handle that. And here we are today, right? So let's bring the other authors up and wrap up the show. Okay, so if you haven't grabbed a copy of Brave and Brilliant, go and grab a copy. It's available on Amazon. The Kindle version is out, as well as the Audible. The Kindle is 99 cents. And all the launch proceeds from the book launch is going to be donated to Global Girls Glow. And is a nonprofit organization that champions, that mentors young women and girls to be brave leaders. And it isn't an organization that that I just picked up from the internet from my Google search, but I've actually met these people. I was invited to that event, and they're so heart-based, they're so generous, they fight for a cause for young girls. I mean, how can we say no to that, right? So make sure you grab a copy on Amazon. And Hannah, who is one of our authors, just joined us today. Hi, Hannah. So quick tip from you about bravery and brilliance from your chapter in 30 seconds.
Oh wow. In 30 seconds. I think we all have a desire that we want to birth. And I think one of the greatest thing that blocks us from manifesting and realizing those things is our fear. And I think when we allow ourselves to make friends with the fear instead of making it our enemy, and feel the fear and step into what we need to do, just the first step, just take the first step and do what you know you should do, but you're afraid of, that starts the momentum to taking the journey to what you really want and what you really want to manifest.
Beautiful. And your chapter, you touch something on vulnerability, like just to be vulnerable. And because often people come up with a mask and 20 different layers in front of them. But the idea of being vulnerable is really scary, but it's also what in your chapter you call it, well, tell us what you say about vulnerability and how it connects with in the audience, with the audience.
Yeah. And when we're meeting people for the first time and we're not friends with them, we have a social mask. But in my chapter, I talk about singing in prisons and how music actually helped me and helped my audience take the mask off and really connect as human to human. And my job as a performer is to take my mask off first and be vulnerable first in order to give them permission to become vulnerable with me. And then we connect and we have this amazing experience of human connection.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's wrap it up with this fill in the blanks. Bravery is when we're going to start with Laura. So, Laura, bravery is when
You're scared and you do it anyway.
you're scared and do it anyway. Jeremy, bravery is when
You do what needs to be done.
spoken like a true pilot. You just get the plane to the airport, right? Okay, Ruben, bravery is when
Is when you allow your true self out to play.
yeah. Well, true self out to play and come out and play, right, Ruben? So that is awesome. Okay, Carol, bravery is when
You're willing to try something different than everybody else because you know in your gut it's going to make everything better for all of those around us.
wonderful. Okay, Hannah, let's wrap it up and take us home. Bravery is when
You're not afraid to fail and knowing that you're going to be okay even when you do fail.
awesome. So thank you so much, authors, for coming in
It
today
is.
and sharing. Yeah.
Bravery is.
Bravery is when you give your heart to amazing people like now. So that is bravery for me. So thank you so much, Laura, Jeremy, Ruben, Carol, and Hannah. It's been such a pleasure to been with you since I would say beginning of the year. Through this journey with each other, with you, with each other. And it's been so much fun. And you guys don't even know all the behind the scenes that we have that just creates those moments of joy and excitement. So here we go. Make sure you grab the book Brave and Brilliant, available on Amazon. The Kindle version is out today, as well as the Audible. For the paperback, make sure you reach out to each of these authors here for their own personalized paperback or hardcover version. And if you ask nicely, they might sign a copy for you. All right, everybody, take care. May peace be upon you. And remember, bravery is when you choose to step out of your comfort zone, be vulnerable, and give your hearts out to people. Take care. May peace be upon you. Like everybody, let's say bye.
Bye.
Bye.